Hello and welcome to the Thoughtful Realtor Podcast. I'm Connie Chung.
I'm Cliff Tsang.
And I'm Kenny Gong, and we are the founders and partners of Willamore Real Estate.
And this is a show for those interested and invested in the world of residential real estate.
Every episode, we sit down for insights, stories, and conversations about all things in the real estate market today, running a real estate team in California, and finding our ways as leaders and business partners.
And today we've got an exciting episode for you. We are sharing our experiences of buying our first home, what we learned, what we wish we could have done differently, and all the insights as insiders in the profession.
I love this. I have really great fond memories of where I was when Kenny, you had called me to talk about one of your first home. So let's jump in with you.
I
like what you did there.
Walk us through memory lane of where you were at, stage of life.
At the time, this was 2019, I was looking for an investment property, and I was living in an apartment in San Francisco. I had in my mind that I wanted my first property that I purchased all on my own to be an investment property. And so I was preparing with financing. I was thinking about locally, I was thinking about Sacramento. Out of state, I was thinking about different parts of, I was thinking about Austin. I was thinking about Denver. I was thinking about Philadelphia was also on the list.
Philly, wow. Nice.
Philly was on the list. And I went to Sacramento a couple of times and saw a couple of properties. And then, oh my gosh, I remember it was like a fever dream. I woke up in the middle of the night and I just thought, no, I'm buying my own home. I'm buying my own primary residence. And I don't even know how this all transpired, but I was like, I am going to find the least expensive single family home in Berkeley. Going to Cal, I knew I wanted to at some point live in Berkeley.
Yeah.
And it was always just a dream. As a realtor, I never thought about purchasing in Berkeley. But for whatever reason, this just popped up in my mind. And so I went on MLS.
I think that's a dream that a lot of Cal grads have.
Yeah.
By the way, like in the back of their mind. They're like, I want to get back to Berkeley. That's
Yeah. Because it just is such a special place. You know, it just has such a vibe. It's so beautiful. And yeah, I mean, it's close to San Francisco, but still a little bit further away. So you get more sunshine.
Well, even before that, I feel like you may have shared over the phone in passing or in a very casual conversation of like, one day I'd love to just retire in a tree house in Berkeley, you know, it's like all the trees and, woodsy north part of Berkeley. So it was very much in the making.
It was very much in the making. And yet I didn't realize that, it's kind of like, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you try to manifest because you might end up manifesting it. So I found this home. Oh my gosh. I remember this home that was a junior 1-bedroom single family home in Berkeley. And it was listed.
Wait.
Break that down. What that looks like to you folks not familiar with a junior 1-bedroom single family house.
It was a single family house that did not have an enclosed bedroom. It was a studio. It was a studio, but single family home. And it had a little bit of like a half wall that kind of partitioned the bedroom away for the junior 1-bedroom away from the living room, but barely. And it was 550 square feet. And I remember I walked in there, I saw it with my parents. They came over and it was on this beautiful street. And then I decided to make an offer on it. And I think I went in, it was listed at like, I don't know, it was listed at $700,000, which is, expensive for a 550 square foot small studio, single family home. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. I wrote my offer, I submitted it, and someone beat me out. And I think I offered, I don't know, something like 800, something like that. and which was big. I was like, well, if I don't get it at 800, I'm totally okay letting it go. And then someone offered, I think they got it for 825, 815, something like that. And so I let it go. And it was so funny because as soon as I found out that they had accepted another offer, I wasn't devastated, but the realtor in me was like, all right, I'm going to get another house then.
Oh, totally. Yep.
And it was so funny because that same day, we did have a client who was looking in Berkeley, and he sent me this listing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he sent me this listing for what ended up being the home that I purchased. But he sent me this listing and he said, I saw this. It's not for me, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that I just saw it. And then I got that. I was in San Francisco and I got that call from him saying like, this is a home that I just saw and, not really interested in it. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe I am. And so
I now remember that client. And
yeah. And so this was, I think it was in the afternoon. It was in the afternoon. It was early afternoon that I got that call. And then I called the listing agent and was like, hey, what's the situation of this? And he's like, oh, we've got this other offer. It's not really going to come together, but we're still going to market it. And then I said, okay, well, I'm going to come see it. I want to say it was around 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I came to see it. I FaceTime Connie. I FaceTime my parents. And I was like, I think I'm going to write an offer on this house. And the funny thing is before, as I was driving across the bridge, I knew that all of my devices were running out of battery. And I knew that there was a chance that I would be needing to write this offer quickly. And so before I actually went to the house, I went to 4th Street. There used to be an Amazon store on 4th Street in Berkeley. And I ran in there and was like, I just need all the device chargers that you have. So I bought chargers in order to go.
I thought this was going to be you charged at the store for 10 minutes and then left.
No, because it was real low. So I was like, I just need chargers. So I bought all these chargers, went to the house, called Connie, called my parents, and then decided to write up the offer in the house.
Yeah, I was going to say, you wrote the offer in the house.
In the house. I wrote the offer in the staged house, and it was in summertime. So I remember I got there when it was light, and then I submitted in the house. I submitted around 6 o'clock, and we did some negotiations, and then I just hung out at the house for a little while. It was dark at that time. And then as I was crossing the bridge to go back home to San Francisco, I got the call on that we ratified the deal.
Aww. That's pretty amazing to hear back so quickly.
So quickly, I got word that I didn't get the house that day, that morning. And then all of that happened by the end of the night.
Talk about a bounce back.
That is such a cool story.
Yeah. And it was cool because then, it was really, really sweet. I had built a relationship with the listing agent of the other house. She, of course, knew that I was making an offer on the house, and she was so sweet and so lovely. And then about a week later, I remember she called me and she was like, hey, I've been thinking about you. I just heard of this other house that just came available, and you might be a really good fit for it. So I just wanted to, it's not on the market yet, but I want you to get a house. And that was so sweet of her. And I really appreciated that. And so then I gave her the news that I was in contract on this other one. And I remember her just being like, oh my gosh, that's even better. That's a better fit for you. That's a really good fit for you. It seems like it's a better house and you got it for a better price than what my buyers for this listing are in contract for. And it's true because, for that, I paid $850 for this house, for this house. And I think they closed at $825 or whatever it was. So for $25,000,
you got a 2-bedroom.
I got a 2-bedroom. It's still small. It's not 550 square feet small, but it's about 850 square feet. So a proper 2-bedroom. Yeah. So
that is a great story, Kenny.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Oh, so touching. And I love that you negotiated in the house too. So you like had like a very thorough, it was one tour, but you really stayed there and got a feel for the house.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
submitted too. So you draft. That's so
Submitted.
must be
Yeah.
such a special feeling to write the offer when you're in the house,
Yeah.
typing it up. You're like looking around,
Yeah.
like confirming your feelings, and then
Yeah.
you hit submit
Yeah.
while in the house. Cool.
And then I knew that Amazon store was going to close. That's why I went before the tour.
You knew you were going to buy this home before even walking into it.
You know, as agents, it's like, what do you got to do to be prepared, to step up?
Yeah.
And sometimes that means being like, okay, I need to think 3 steps ahead. If I do want to make an offer, if I do want to submit, I'm going to want to submit really quickly. And I'm going to want to try to do it in the house, you know, because I knew that there was another offer that they were thinking about countering. I feel like that's just realtor life, you know?
Yeah, well, tell us for folks who, especially first-time home buyers, sometimes they have some trepidation of like writing their first offer or even knowing when they should go about it. For you, how did you know, like, okay, it's worth pursuing, moving quickly?
Yeah, I think my answer is twofold. One is it was both my head and my heart. I knew that I had done the comps for the other property, so I knew the value of this one, right? I really, really understood the value of this one. I knew that it was an opportunity because it had been sitting and they just weren't, the market really had passed it by and they were getting interest, but it wasn't like the kind of frenetic interest that we still were seeing in that time. We were still seeing multiple offers. We were still seeing things going crazy over. So I knew that this was kind of like, oh, yeah, there's an opportunity here. And if I can just squeeze in there and make it really sweet, it could work out really, really well. And then also I led with my heart, right? Like I just knew. I knew that this was going to be the one. And I also knew that this house is not going to be perfect. I knew that I wasn't looking for a necessarily a forever home. It could be a forever, asset in my portfolio, or it could be a forever home that I live in, but it doesn't have to be. And so I knew that there was also this sort of like, and because I do it every day, I know that even the biggest, highest stakes that come with purchasing a home aren't always that big. And the stakes aren't always that high, because for me, I know, and this is just part of my personality too, because I think that's also really, really important to understand, is like, what kind of buyer are you? And I know that for me, my personality is I'm just an eternal optimist, and I'm nimble, and I'm blessed to be able to have a lot of resources at my disposal, that if I needed to shift, if I needed to pivot, I totally could. But also that it didn't have to feel perfect and forever.
Yeah.
So in that way, I was really able to make decisions about something that almost on paper kind of looks impulsive, but do so still with thoughtfulness, intention, and strategy.
Maybe kind of give us the full picture of like, fast forward, 4 years now.
Yeah.
How has it worked out? What has been the highlights? But also maybe share some of the maybe lowlights too, or just like things that you weren't aware of going into the home purchase.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
The highlights, or maybe I'll start with the lowlights. The lowlights are, as with a lot of craftsman style homes, I just don't get a lot of natural light. So that's constantly on my mind, that I just don't get a lot of natural light. I have a giant tree
That'll do it too.
that I think just cuts off a lot of light. And the way that the walls are laid out, also, it kind of, I could have a lot of natural light, but the way that the walls are laid out, it kind of traps it into certain parts. So my office gets a ton of natural light throughout the entire day, but that doesn't translate to the living room, for example. So that's, I think, a low light, but that's also part of like it's not going to be perfect. And are there things that I can do to increase the quality of life as well as add value? So possibly thinking about skylights, or just reconfiguring the home to allow for more light to travel throughout the space. Yeah, these are all things that I think about, but also it's like, I feel so good about being able to have a blank canvas that I can actually work with. You work with what you got, and that has been really, really nice to be able to have something that just feels like I can work with it, and also feels like there's so much flexibility. Like I can, 4 years after, I now feel really strong that I could just keep this forever and use it in different ways. Like I can either develop it to grow bigger, to if I needed a bigger home, or I can always rent it out. And that's really nice. Berkeley has some really, really interesting legislation that has been passed that allows for more flexibility for homeowners, and that's been really, really interesting to explore. So there's lots of different ways that I could improve the space, add value, that also aligns with.
Is this related to ADUs and tiny homes?
This is oh yes, ADUs, tiny homes.
Possible, yeah. Your garage can be an
The
ADU.
garage,
It's
yeah.
perfect, primed for that.
Exactly.
And then you've got a nice flat backyard.
Yeah.
And for those who, to give you a kind of picture, both of your neighbors have built up and created
Yeah.
these really beautiful 2 stories, and across the street there's all this new
Yeah.
development. So
Yeah.
you know how
I
there's
have
that
the smallest
yeah,
house on the street.
which is- that's
I
the
literally
thing.
have the smallest house on the street.
You don't have the worst house on the block, but in a sense you do, in that you have the
Yeah.
lowest priced home on the block, which
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
ideal for anyone thinking about just the room for appreciation on a home.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
smart,
Yeah.
super smart buy.
Yeah. Yeah. So so we'll see what happens.
Very cool. What was your escrow like? Easy breezy or
Easy breezy. I
little more challenging?
think no, it was easy breezy. Really easy breezy. Yeah. And I think I'm not quite sure if it's easy breezy because we just do it
Yeah.
all day, every day. And so any little snags, I was like, ain't no thing. But it was pretty easy. Yeah, it was pretty easy. And it's been really nice.
If you could go back in time, is there anything you wish you would have known or done differently or paused at?
I wish that I saw a few more homes. But I don't wish that, because I think if I saw other homes, I think I would have maybe went for a different home and paid more. And I think ultimately I always come back down to feeling so grateful that I paid the price that I did for this home. This home really, really fits for me. But I do wish that I saw more so that I could have really felt like I saw more. But ultimately it worked out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
If anything, do you wish you started your process earlier?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Let's see. So this was 2019. At that point, I had been in the industry for 4 years. And at that point, it was really like, I really was only able to purchase something at that time, 4 years in. But if I could have purchased something like 2 years before then, I would have loved to. Yeah. And in 2 years before then, I actually might have been able to get like a nicer home for the same price. But yeah, of course, everything happens for a reason. But that is the lesson. As soon as you can buy something, buy it.
Yes. Totally. And we find more folks are always wishing they had bought sooner. I think that's the world of real estate, is like get in as soon as you can.
Yeah, as soon as you can.
I think what's really cool too is you kind of planted the roots for Willamar in some ways in the East Bay, or in many ways. Because you're
All
the first.
the ways.
In all the ways, yeah. You were the first to move out here officially. Then Connie moved to Rockridge. I know having you two here is what Misun really wanted to move out to the East Bay, but also that having you two here gave me a lot of confidence to come out as well, and some of Misun's friends. But yeah, you set the flag down on the East Bay for our expansion, unintentionally maybe, but that's what set us on the path.
And I think I really appreciate you saying that, Cliff, because also it reminds me that we don't know what is in store for us and our lives. And this whole process, I mentioned it before, but it's just like you do things and then you move from there. and you don't know whether it's going to be the perfect fit. And it's oftentimes not the perfect fit, but if you search and search and search for the perfect fit, it just debilitates you from actually moving and making a stand. And if you're not making a stand, there's nowhere for you to move from that point, right? And so I think moving to the East Bay started what has now become Willamar. But what's wonderful is that it was not inevitable, right? Like we moved and then we kind of pivoted. And then it turns out if you approach life with this mentality, it is this wonderful thing of like, wow, something can happen that is so completely unexpected and so completely beyond our dreams. And to be able to reflect back that that is a possibility. You can't even dream what is possible right now because you haven't put in the work for it yet. All of this is just an example of allowing ourselves to live really fully and embrace the organic, unexpected unfolding of life.
Yeah. Oh, I love
Well said. Well said.
Yeah. Especially because I remember, I mean, we were all living in the city. Cliff, we were working together at the time, but I remember when Kenny shared he was going to move and buy in the East Bay, being like, no, what's that going to do to her business? And just kind of, believing in how things go and living life and following our dreams of where we want to be and the life we want to live. It really does unfold into something so magical and beyond what we could have ever imagined. So cool. Well, I think that's the perfect.
So thank you,
Yeah.
Kenny. And also thank you to that mystery client who, that's the ideal. It's like the reverse client, the one that sends you the listing that you will buy as an agent.
That is so true.
That was an awesome story. Yeah, thanks, Kenny.
Yeah. Such a perfect way to end it, and we'll leave it at that. Well, there you have it. The end of another episode of The Thoughtful Realtor, and this is a 3-part series. So in the next couple episodes, you'll hear from my and Cliff's experience of buying our first home. What was it like to buy your first home?
So yeah, please share your stories with us. You can find us at willamar.com or Instagram at willamar__.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. We read every single one of these reviews and your comments, and we love being in conversation with y'all. And also please share the love because we love sharing these stories and hope that they can help as many people as possible. And until next time,
Bye.
bye-bye.